What's up, pop pickers? Hopefully you've been following the build-up series so far on this little XR, because if you haven't, well, you're missing out on some top tips. Oh, tits to it. Anyway, you're missing out on some hints on how to do stuff and make it nice and strong. So, following on from my very long 15-minute video yesterday, showing you how to anchor your Chinese brush guards to your handlebars so they don't bend around in the wind. We've made those. They're on there. The headlight is on there, nicely mounted with front mudguard top hat spacers. You know, the little spacers look like a top hat. Well, I needed two to bring the back of the mudguard down away from the frame, because I put this bracket in at the front, so that tipped the mudguard up so it touched the frame. So I bought a set of four, because they come in fours. Well, they don't come in fours, but I bought a set of four anyway because I thought two would be useful. And do you know what? They were useful, because they went in there with a couple of rubber grommets. So that's all professional mounted. I mean, they don't look pretty, because there's no point in making something pretty that you're going to throw over rocks and cliffs, but it's functional. So what we're going to talk about today is switching out the wheels, because if you're on Facebook motocross groups, one of the questions is asked weekly, if not daily sometimes: what wheels can I fit in my bike, mister? So looking at the back wheel here, we have got Racing Boy. Yes, we got a Racing Boy black rim, but the rest of it is brand new CRF 250. So that means I can get sprockets any time of the day or night. I can get brake parts, bearings, anything I want, straight off the shelf. Easy peasy. So although the rim's black, I'm going with the CRF wheel in the back. I just happen to have a pair of CRF wheels hanging around. Where are they? Well, one of them's under there. That's actually out of my bike, because I'm prototyping. What better way to do it than to have an actual wheel with a disc on it that you can play with? But one of the things that ain't going to happen is, where are we? That original wheel, or that original disc there, is 240mm. An original CRFL is 256, or 260 to be pedantic. Well, actually 256 to be pedantic, wouldn't it? But anyway, we're being pedantic. So if you put a bigger disc on there, the caliper will no longer reach the disc. So you then have to start making new caliper brackets. And hello, Kawasaki. That can be quite a ball ache, to be honest. So I want to stay away from making balls. So I'm going to try and use the original one. So I'm scratching my head on how I'm going to do it and how I'm going to modify this bracket. And I'm thinking I'm going to just fit a caliper off of the CRF, and I'm going to have to cut the steel bracket that comes with and modify it like I did on the Kawasaki. Well, I don't want to go through that again, because it all warps when you weld it, and then you don't get a bloody perfect match. And I want to try and avoid it. So onto Lazada we go. So I was searching around on Lazada, and all of a sudden, ka-ching, up came a 240mm fancy brake disc. Not that thing there, but a fancy brake disc in 240mm, which will fit onto a CRF wheel, because the CRF wheels have got this funny little 6-bolt pattern. See how they're spaced at 120-degree intervals, look, but they're two at a time. So you can't just get any regular space bolt disc to go on there. So I've just bought a 240mm Chinese disc, which hopefully will go on that CRF wheel, and hopefully will still allow the mating of the 240mm brake caliper hanger. The only problem we got then is we're going to have to service a ganky old brake caliper. Hopefully that won't be no big issue. And the final big issue is wheel spacers, because this is what it's all about when it comes down to fitting wheels that don't belong there. You can't just bung any old wheel in a hole because of the spacings for how they spaced it up for the disc, how they spaced it up for the speedo drive, how they spaced it up just for spacing up. And I come across this morning. I put the CRF wheel in. Oh, actually, let's go back to the original fault. The original issue is when you look at this bolt here, this is the bolt that was in this bike, it's screwed in too far. It's gone in nicely at the end there, but it's inside the clamp a little bit. Now we can run with that, that's no biggie, so we can survive that. But when we use the CRF spacers, this bolt was then back out there, which is nice, but it's not nice in there because it's hardly got any bloody thread. So obviously we can't just use CRF spacers, and the other reason with CRF spacers is the CRF spacer, let's just grab one, does not mate up with the XR hole, even though the hole in the middle is the same. The seal sizes are all wrong, so I suppose we could faff around trying to get seal sizes that'll work, but that ain't going to be the issue. The issue is all the different heights on these spacers. So with a little bit of prototyping, I made up a little aluminium shim here, which is 2mm. So that's the original thing. And the original spacer there was at 17 to start with. I've spaced it out with a 2mm. Is that 2 or 3? I think that's 2, isn't it? Don't know. Well, it's 19mm, so it's got to be 2, isn't it? You bloody puppet. So yeah, I've made a 19mm spacer, which seems to space the wheel 50-50 in the fork. And what I do is I'll take a measurement from there to the rim and a measurement from there to the rim and try and get it 50-50. It was a little tad under, so I am going to go, and I'll show you why. I'm probably going to go with a... I can't... Right, I'm trying to show the camera in there, but I'm looking at the camera and I can't quite see what I'm trying to look at, so I've just leant around the front here. Right, can you see all this shiny... Is that? Yeah, there you go. Shiny. That lot has been rubbing on the disc, which has been producing this inside. See that inside shininess? That there has been caused by the actual disc rubbing on the caliper bracket, which is wrong. Don't know why it's been doing that, but this is Thailand. You don't have to wonder about why things happen, they just happen. All you've got to do is get your head around it and move on. So with my 50-50 measurements being 19mm and that's still rubbing, I'm going to jack that spacer up to 20mm, and hopefully that'll clear the back of the bracket. So I'll just recap on what we're doing. We're going to fit the CRF wheel. We're going to buy a pair of CRF spacers. I'm going to get that spacer turned down to 20mm, so it's the same as that one. I'm going to knock a few millimeters off the other side as well, because when it was all in there, like I said before, we had it all in there and it left that bolt flush like that, which is how I'd like to see it. But when you look at the other end here, it's not really got a huge, excuse me, I got the hiccups, it's got a huge amount of thread screwed in there. So I'm going to take a couple of millimeters off the right hand side one, which won't make any difference to the center end of the wheel, because the wheel's centered by this one. This bolt just screws through and it gets clamped. So yeah, we'll go 20mm on this side, knock a few mil off there so that the bolt comes in a bit further, and then that job should be a good one. Just under 10 minutes. So 9 minutes 38, 39 and 40 on that one. I shall say cheerio now. Let's find something else of interest.